My fiancé suddenly declared his family history totally off limits, no questions allowed. I said fine, then I stopped sharing my career dreams with him. The chaos that followed uncovered a web of secrets that nearly destroyed us. What was he hiding that made him panic when I mirrored his walls? You won't believe the shocking truth that emerged from our Chicago apartment, turning our wedding plans into a battlefield of trust and betrayal. Hang on tight, this real-life tale of boundaries gone wrong will have you questioning every relationship. The revelation at the end? Absolutely mind-blowing, you have to hear it all. I never imagined that a casual dinner conversation could unravel everything we had built. I'm Emily, 28, and I've been with my fiancé, Jack, 30, for 4 years now. We met at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle, him spilling his latte on my laptop, me laughing it off instead of getting mad. It was one of those meet cuties that felt straight out of a rom-com. We got engaged last fall during a hike in the Cascade Mountains, with the leaves turning gold and him down on one knee with a ring that sparkled like the Puget Sound. Life seemed perfect. We shared everything, our wildest ambitions, our deepest fears, even those cringeworthy high school tales. He knew about my messy breakup with my college sweetheart, and I knew about his rocky divorce from his early 20s. No secrets, or so I thought. It all changed about 2 months ago. We were at our cozy apartment in Capitol Hill, sorting through invitations for our summer wedding at a vineyard near Woodinville. Jack's phone buzzed with a text from his brother, Mike. I glanced over casually, force of habit, and saw something about keeping mom out of it, nothing alarming, but I asked, "What's up with your mom? You haven't mentioned her in ages." His face hardened instantly, like a storm cloud rolling in. "That's none of your business," he snapped. I blinked, taken aback. "Whoa, I was just curious. We've talked about family stuff before." He set down the invitation stack with a thud. "Well, not anymore. My family history is off limits. No more questions about my parents, my siblings, or anything from before we met. It's a boundary, Emily. Respect it." I sat there, stunned. This wasn't like him. Jack had always been open. He'd shared stories about growing up in a small town outside Portland, his dad's job as a mechanic, his mom's baking obsession. Sure, he mentioned they weren't close now, but nothing hinted at a total blackout. I tried to probe gently. "Did something happen? If it's painful, I get it, but we're about to get married. Shouldn't we?" He cut me off. "No. End of discussion. If you can't accept that, we've got bigger issues." The way he said it felt final, like a door slamming shut. I nodded, swallowing my confusion. "Okay, I understand. I'll respect your boundary. But boundaries, I've learned, aren't one-sided streets. If he was locking away parts of himself, why should I keep handing over mine?" It started small, subtle. That night, he asked about my day at the marketing firm where I work. Normally, I'd spill every detail, the client pitch that bombed, the coworker drama, my ideas for the next campaign. Instead, I shrugged. "Just work stuff." He frowned but let it go. The next morning, over coffee, he wanted to know what my best friend Sarah and I chatted about on our call. "Girl talk," I said vaguely. By the weekend, when we were planning a trip to the Oregon coast, he asked about my thoughts on switching jobs, something I'd been mulling over. "Personal career things," I replied, echoing his tone. At first, he brushed it off, but I could see the irritation building. We went to a Seahawks game that Sunday, our ritual, and on the drive back, he pressed about why I seemed distracted. "Just thoughts," I said. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Emily, what's with the short answers? You're acting weird." I looked at him calmly. "I'm not. I'm just keeping some things private, like you with your family. Boundaries, right?" He went quiet, but I saw the realization dawn. That evening, back in our apartment overlooking the city lights, he tried again. "Come on, tell me what's really going on at work. We always talk about this stuff." I smiled faintly. "And we always talked about your family, too. But if parts of your life are off limits, then parts of mine are, too. Fair's fair." The shift was palpable. Over the next week, the vagueness escalated. He asked about my lunch with my boss. Business matters. About my gym routine. Health stuff. About a text from my sister in California. Family things. He started pacing more, his usual easygoing vibe cracking. One night, after a tense dinner of takeout Thai, he exploded. "This is ridiculous. I feel like I'm talking to a stranger. Why are you shutting me out?" I set down my fork. "I'm not shutting you out. I'm mirroring what you asked for, privacy. You said your past is yours alone. Well, my present is mine. If you get walls, so do I." He rubbed his temples. "That's not the same. My family's complicated, it doesn't affect us now. And my career dreams? My daily life? How does that not affect us? We're building a future together, Jack." He stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door, an echo of how this all began. I sat on the couch, staring at the Space Needle in the distance, wondering what skeletons he was so desperate to hide. Little did I know, this was just the tip of the iceberg. Things were about to get way more intense. He didn't speak to me for 2 full days after that blow-up. Just clipped good mornings and silence. I kept the wall up, polite but empty. When he asked where I was going after work on Wednesday, I smiled and said, out. Personal plans. His jaw clenched so hard I thought he'd crack a molar. That night he came home with takeout from Pike Place, my favorite chowder place, like a peace offering. I thanked him, ate 2 spoonfuls, and went back to answering emails with one-word replies. The tension in our little Capitol Hill apartment was thicker than Seattle fog. By the end of week 2, he cracked. We were folding laundry on the living room rug when he suddenly dropped a stack of t-shirts and said, fine. You win. Ask whatever you want about my family. Just stop this. I folded a pair of jeans slowly. No, Jack. You don't get to decide when the boundary ends just because it's inconvenient now. You set the rule. I'm respecting it. His eyes went wide, like he'd been punched in the gut by his own logic. You're enjoying this, he accused. I wasn't, not really, but I didn't correct him. The truth was starting to gnaw at me too. What was so toxic in his past that he'd rather watch our relationship suffocate than talk about it? Then came the ambush. His older sister, Lauren, who I'd always liked, showed up unannounced on a rainy Saturday morning. She lives in Tacoma, so a 40-minute drive in pouring rain meant business. She marched in, dripping on the hardwood, and laid into me before I'd even closed the door. What the hell are you doing to my brother? He says you've turned into a cold fish overnight. I offered her coffee. She ignored it. He's miserable, Emily. Fix it. I dried my hands on a dish towel. He told me his family history is off limits. I'm giving him the same privacy he demanded. Seems fair. Lauren laughed, bitter and loud. You think this is about fairness? You have no idea what you're digging into. That sentence hung in the air like smoke. My pulse kicked up. Then maybe someone should tell me. She stared at me for a long beat, then shook her head. It's not my story. She left 10 minutes later, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Jack came out of the bedroom where he'd clearly been listening. His face was pale. Don't push this, Em. His voice cracked on my name. For the first time, he looked scared, not angry. That scared me. 2 nights later, I came home late from a work happy hour in Belltown. The apartment was dark except for the glow of his laptop. He was sitting on the couch, shoulders hunched. When I walked in, he closed the screen fast, too fast. Hey, I said softly, testing the waters. He didn't answer. I dropped my purse and sat across from him. Jack, talk to me. Whatever it is, we can handle it together. He laughed, this hollow sound that made my skin crawl. You keep saying that. You have no clue. I reached for his hand, he pulled away. Try me. Silence stretched so long I thought he'd ignore me forever. Finally, he whispered, I have a kid. The room spun. What? He wouldn't meet my eyes. A son. He's 8. Lives in Portland with his mom, my ex-wife. I felt the floor drop out from under me. We'd talked about kids, we both wanted them someday, but he'd always framed it as future tense. Never once hinted he already had one. You're a dad? My voice came out small. He nodded. I haven't seen him in 6 years. I'm not on the birth certificate. I signed away rights before he was born. The words kept coming, mechanical, like he was reciting something painful he'd rehearsed in his head 1,000 times. I was 22, broke, terrified. She wanted to keep him, I didn't think I could be what he needed. Her family had money, mine didn't. It felt like the right thing then. He finally looked at me, eyes red. I've sent money every month, anonymously. That's why I never talk about my past. Because I'm ashamed, Emily. I'm a deadbeat who ran. I sat there, stunned, trying to process. All the vague comments about not being close to his family suddenly made horrible sense. The way his mom never called. Why he changed the subject whenever kids came up with friends. My heart ached for him and for that little boy I'd never meet, and anger surged at the same time. For years he'd kept this from me. I opened my mouth, not even sure what would come out, when his phone lit up on the coffee table. A text preview, we need to talk about Caleb. He's asking questions. From a contact saved simply as K. My heart hammered as I stared at the phone. Who's K? And who's Caleb? Jack's face drained of color. He grabbed the device, but the damage was done. Kara. His mom. My ex. The words tumbled out now, a dam breaking. She reached out last month. Said Caleb's been asking about his dad. He found some old photos. She wants me to meet him, but I panicked. That's why I shut down the family talk. I didn't know how to tell you without you thinking I'm a monster. I stood up, pacing the room, the city lights blurring through the window. A monster? Jack, you have a child. An 8-year-old boy. And you hid him from me for 4 years? We've planned our whole life, kids, house in the suburbs, everything, and you already have one you abandoned. He buried his face in his hands. I didn't abandon him. I thought I was doing right by him. Kara's family is loaded, they could give him stability. I was a mess back then, bouncing jobs, no degree. But yeah, I ran. And now? Now he wants to know me, and I'm terrified I'll screw it up. Tears streamed down his cheeks. I wanted to hug him, scream at him, all at once. Instead, I grabbed my coat. I need air. Don't follow me. I walked the rainy streets of Capitol Hill, dodging puddles and hipsters, my mind reeling. How do you marry someone who keeps a whole human secret? But part of me understood the shame, American dream stuff, right? Men are supposed to be providers, not runners. Still, trust was shattered. When I got back 2 hours later, he was waiting with red eyes and a pot of tea, my favorite chamomile. I'll tell you everything. No more walls. Over the next hour, he spilled it all. The whirlwind marriage at 21 in Vegas, the pregnancy scare that wasn't a scare, the divorce papers signed in a Portland courthouse. Kara remarried a tech exec, they live in a McMansion in Beaverton. Caleb plays Little League, loves dinosaurs. Jack showed me a photo Kara had sent, a kid with his dimples, gap-toothed grin. My anger softened, but the hurt lingered. Why not tell me sooner? We could have faced this together. He shrugged helplessly. Fear. Of losing you. We talked till dawn, peeling back layers. I set ground rules, full transparency, therapy for him, and if we move forward, I meet Kara and Caleb. No more secrets. He agreed, desperate. The next weeks were rocky. I called off the wedding quietly, told friends, cold feet, and we started couples counseling in Bellevue. Jack wired money openly now, planned a trip to Portland. His family? Turns out his mom knew, blamed him, hence the distance. Lauren apologized for her outburst, she'd been protecting him. But doubts crept in. During a session, the therapist asked if I could forgive. I hesitated. One night, after he fell asleep, I scrolled his phone, trust issues die hard. Found old emails to Kara, not just money transfers, but check-ins, how's our boy? Dated back years, even after we met. Nothing romantic, but emotional ties he'd hidden. It felt like emotional cheating on our future. I confronted him the next morning over breakfast burritos from a food truck. You've been co-parenting in secret while telling me you signed away rights? He admitted it, guilt kept him involved from afar. That was the breaking point. I loved him, but love needs foundation. I packed a bag, stayed with Sarah in Queen Anne. He blew up my phone, pleas, apologies, promises. His mom called, begging me to reconsider, he's changed. But had he? Or was change just panic? I blocked them all for space. 3 months later, I'm in a new apartment in Fremont, single, healing. Jack met Caleb, good for them. Last I heard via mutual friends, he's in therapy, rebuilding family ties. Me? I'm dating casually, but wary. That boundary he set? It saved me from a marriage on lies. If I'd caved, I'd be Mrs. Secret Kid now. Instead, I learned, real partnerships share scars, not hide them. Match energy, folks. It reveals everything.